Hello, my name is Brett Holcomb. I'm the Wealth and Finance Editor here at Lenox Parker magazine. We are here at Mistora. We're about to celebrate our latest digital cover. This one is featuring Donni Wiggins and David Shands of the Social Proof podcast. I want to welcome you all. As we walk in, we're going to have a wonderful interview. It's called Here's to Wealth. And we're going to talk about a lot of things that's going on in our communities and what we can do to overcome them. So come on with me. This is called Here's to Wealth. And essentially, we're talking about the economic landscape for Black folks in particular, in modern times. And so we're going to ask some questions and get some great insight from these two as to what is happening now and what we can do about it. So I think this is a great opportunity for anyone who is unclear, right? Because there's some uncertainty in the market to really be able to get some good insight. So if you have some questions, save it till the end. We might take a couple of questions and go from there. But that's what we're doing here today. So once again, here's the Wealth, Lenox and Parker. Here's what we're doing. We got some questions and we want answers today, right? We have two of the most insightful people in our culture, so I think this is a great opportunity just to set the frame. We're looking at what's happening today, right? We're talking about things like we hear buzzwords, DEI, right? We hear tariffs, right? We're hearing AI. We're seeing the impact of that in corporate layoffs. And so getting right into it, I'm just going to ask each one of you a question, and we'll go from there. Let's start with the two of you. We're going to start, okay? So the first question is, the economic landscape has changed since 2019, as we all notice, right? So the question becomes, what do you and I'm going to start with you, David. What do you think has been the major change that's happened? Let's first identify what has changed since 2019 economically.
I think the financial literacy movement, especially in the African American community, has changed. I think we're just a lot smarter of a people. We're more aware of our superpower as it comes to entrepreneurship. But I think we had an idea about how money is made, kind of like 2018, 2019, but then 2020, 2021, the economy was just flooded with money. And there's a lot of people that made a lot of money in that time frame, which I remember having conversations with people in 2008, 2009, where they're reflecting back on that time saying, oh my gosh, there was just money raining from the heavens, and after there was real estate you could buy for cheap. It was just that time. And I'm like, man, wouldn't that be a time where it was easy to make money? Because it's not really easy to make money. And not a lot of it anyway. But we got a chance to experience that. And I do believe we got a small glimpse of the fact that we can make money at a real high level. Millions. Obviously, we made our first million in that time frame. We ushered a lot of people into it. So I think economically, we just got a chance to see something different. And for those who were doing work before that, moving forward, we're prepared. We're good. However, there were some people that jumped into entrepreneurship or business and made some money quickly, but after it was over, they just didn't have the skill set or the bandwidth or kind of like that stick-to-itness to keep it moving. So kind of like for them, maybe that golden era is over, but we're just experiencing we can continue to build something special.
I'm going to ask you the second part of that. So David talked about 2019, 2020, even a little bit of 2021. Talk about what happened from 2022 till now.
Oh my gosh. Well, things changed for a lot of people. Going back to David's point, a lot of people were put in position to make a lot of money, but very quickly. And I think what's happening from 2022 until now is that we're understanding that we actually have to build real business. So we got to David and I have been entrepreneurs long before 2019, right? And so we understand the cycle of actually building business. However, we can't ignore that there was a huge rush of entrepreneurs coming into the marketplace in 2019 and 2020 and taking advantage of a lot of government funds and things of that nature. But 2023, 2024, and even in this year, you have to rise to the occasion. I think a lot of people who launched businesses during that time frame that were building businesses off of hope, building businesses off of hype, building businesses off of popularity, are discovering now that we actually have to work, right? And that our businesses are impacted heavily by what's happening in the economy. When you think about a lot of the entrepreneurs who were birthed during the pandemic, the time frame that you asked about, they were supported heavily by government subsidy funds, right? Or government subsidized funds. And now that those funds have run out, and now that people are beginning to pay those funds back, we're noticing that consumers are actually paying attention to how they're spending their money. Every single dollar matters, every single decision matters, and some thought processes have to be aligned in terms of who gets your money. And so as entrepreneurs, we're having to show our work, is the analogy that I like to use. Remember back in high school, we used to like do our math homework, and your teacher would say, show me your work, show me your, what was that paper called? It was like your scratch paper. It was a scratch paper. We're in a season right now where we're showing our scratch paper, and we're actually having to work to earn money, but we also have to create impact so that people are comfortable supporting our businesses.
It's a great answer. I love that. So we now set the frame for what has happened, right? And in your opinion, and I'll leave this an open question, so whoever grabs the mic first, to it. In your opinion, can you identify who are the top 3 people right now who are at the most risk? If you put that into a category of people, who would you say are at the most risk right now in 2025 from, I wouldn't call it financial ruin, right, but correction that they would have?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have a top 3. I just have a top 1. And I think the people who are at the most risk are the people who are closed-minded to the idea that multiple streams of income in 2025 is absolutely necessary. People who are still finding security and only having a job, people who are believing in the 40-40-40 plan, you work 40 hours a week for 40 years just to retire on 40% of your income that you made, those are the people who are most at risk. People who are winning right now are open-minded. They are willing to take a risk. They're looking at what's happening in the economy. One thing that I love about social media and all of the things that it brings to the table negatively, one of the things that it places a light on positively are people like David and myself who are building business at a large scale. And so now we can no longer hide behind the excuse of, I can't do it, or only a certain type of person was made for this, right? Now it's in our face. So you have a decision to make. Either you're going to look at what all of these people on social media are doing and seeing yourself in somebody and believing big enough to go and do it on your own, or you're going to continue to hide behind your excuses. And the people who are going to fail or suffer significantly in this economy and for the rest of their lives are the people who are closed-minded, who are still believing in that old system of working a job and it provides security, and one source of income, even if you are a business owner, is your ticket to wealth, and it's not.
Yeah, I would echo that for sure. I think who's at the most risk is the financially uneducated, but also the entertained. So there's so much entertainment out on social media. Back in the day, I had to go outside and go get good at something.
Yes.
I got to go hoop. I got to really get good at basketball, or we had to do something. There was a time where if you were going to write a paper, you had to write this. Or read a bunch of
research.
Yeah, you had to find a book.
Encyclopedias.
For sure. There's a bunch of books. You got to find the right book first off. And then put all the books together and get information, and you had to think. There was a time where you had to remember your mom's phone number, just in case of an emergency. We don't have to anymore because we are entertained. We just scroll and scroll and scroll, and I find myself doing it too, so I'm not preaching at anybody, but I think those that are at the greatest risk are those who can't detach from that. And for myself, I'm doing my very, very best to consciously detach. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you run your business on social media. Because you're running your business and you're replying to DMs and you're making posts, but you're also finding out what's going on. And social media is going to show you what you like.
Yeah. Yes.
So I believe that those are the most at risk, the ones that can't detach. And again, I'm not preaching at anyone. It's a constant battle every day where I have to say, all right, well, I have to put my phone in another room and do work. Because if it rings, my phone's always on silent, but if it lights up, or if I just think of something, and I pick up if it's right there, I'm gonna pick up my phone. But the fact that I gotta stand up, I'm not doing all that, so I have to work. So yeah, I think we are all at risk.
Yeah.
Great. So reminds me of the Pavlovian dog. Have you heard of that? Where that cue, right? So that phone going off is a cue.
Oh, for sure.
But it brings me to my next question.
I'm thinking about it now. I almost grabbed me. And check nothing. All right, what's your routine? What's like when you pick up your phone? There's probably 3 apps that you just go to and check, even if it there's no notification. What are they?
Email, Instagram.
Email. Yeah, you got your whole little cycle. Ain't even nobody hit you up, right? Isn't that insane?
Refreshing your email. Don't even nothing there.
Refreshing the email just in case.
I don't even have notifications and I still check them.
It's wild. It's wild. So we just all have to be conscious because the hours that thing takes from our life and takes from our business and takes from our future. And then they start showing you really cool stuff that you can buy. And then start taking from our account. Oh my God. All right. So I'm sorry.
No, that was perfect. That's a fact, really. And it happens to so-called the best of us, right? And those who just have the time to do it. But it brings another subject, right? And this is for you, Donnie. So you mentioned how back in the day, essentially we had to be good at something, right? And many people gained some skills. They went to college, they got advanced degrees, they are many people are in corporate world. But unfortunately, one of the things that are happening is the downsizing of corporate, right? And so my question is, what would you tell someone who has maybe been laid off somewhat, but has deep expertise in something? How can they come into this entrepreneurial world and monetize them?
Yeah. So I believe that your corporate job is a stepping stone to your entrepreneurial dream, right? And so when I'm talking to people who want to transition from corporate into the entrepreneurship world, the very first thing that we search for is alignment between what they do in corporate anyway and what they desire to do. So on your job, for example, so way back in 2014, I was managing the building that we lived in at that time. But I used it as a platform to learn everything that I could about property management, and I started my own property management company. So what I would tell you guys is to really lean into what you bring to the table. Identify what you're really, really good at your job. And that might be the starting place. What you do at your job might not have anything to do with what you actually end up doing as an entrepreneur, but it is a starting place. Hey, this is what I do. I'm a personal assistant. Am I suited to, or am I skilled enough to train other people to be excellent virtual or personal assistants just like me? Or I work in tech. Can I transfer these skills from my corporate job into what I do into the entrepreneurial world, right? I would be paying really great attention to that. But also, you guys, because corporate is downsizing, corporations all over the world, they're downsizing in their task force. Learn everything you can. But not only learn everything you can about the job that you contribute, learn why your job is important. Because when you go out and you start working for these other companies that might hire you, you have to be clear on why and how you fit into that equation. What you're doing right now is a starting place for what you could be doing with the rest of your life. And that doesn't mean that you have to stay there. You can start there just like I did. I started with a luxury property management company. Why? because I was tired of people walking into a leasing office to lease apartments that I couldn't afford to live in. So I needed to take that skill set and create an opportunity of freedom for me, right? I was hustling. Jonathan Green, I worked with you at the time in vacation travel and luxury concierge services and all of the things. Pay attention to not just what you do, but why what you do actually matters. And then learn everything you can about how these companies operate, because you're going to need this. The easiest thing for you to do if you're considering transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship is to start with the skill sets that you're already being paid for. You are proof already that somebody will pay you for what you know, because your employer is paying you for what you know. You can take those skills, develop a high income skill set, and go out there and convert that into working for small businesses or entrepreneurs. We were just talking to someone in our mentorship community, I believe it was in our mentorship community, who recently left their job, and then they went back and it was in my mentorship community. They went back and their job that they walked away from became their very first client. Like, what you're being paid, here's Brett, I know I'm long-winded, but here's what you have to know. You may be making $15 an hour, $20 an hour. You might be making $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year. That is a fraction of what your skill set is worth. You're never being paid at the top of what your skill set is worth. And so if you're out there and you're being paid $50,000 to be some type of tech contributor to your team, or virtual assistant, personal assistant, whatever that looks like, whatever your role is, understand that what that corporation has decided to pay you is not based on what your skill set is. It's based on what their budget is. And if you believe in yourself, if you can take that high income skill set and believe in yourself just enough, you can go out and command 2 times, 3 times, maybe even sometimes 4 times. I always find it to be a beautiful story when someone tells me, I left my job and then they turned around and they became my client. How powerful is that?
So, do you have a different question for me, or you want to answer the same one?
No, I have a different one.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, if you want to riff, no, that's a freestyle. So if you want to add something to it, again, the whole premise of
No,
this.
go ahead. Okay, I got you. So, all right.
I got another one.
He
for
can't
you.
help himself.
Oh my gosh. So, for the person that just left the job, right? So, I think the stat was 61% of employees deal with tremendous pressure of layoff and separation anxiety, and 46% aren't prepared for when it happens. So 46% of people are not prepared to lose their job. And I actually got this from Jonathan Green, actually, a mentor of mine since I was 18. And he said this, and it always stuck with me. He said, everything is mad. Everything is mad. Some people, everything is emotion. But you can really calculate how to change your life. So if you have a product or a service that's, your product is, $30 and you're making $6,000 a month, you can really calculate what the work is required to replace that income.
Yes.
And some people say, well, I don't want to leave my job because I need the insurance. And then I found out that you could just pay for it. You can pay for it. There was a young lady, her business was doing $200,000 a year. And she didn't want to leave her job though. Her business is doing $200,000 a year. Her job was paying her $80,000 a year. From her business, she was netting $130,000 a year. Her job was paying her $80,000 a year. She said, I can't leave my job because I need the insurance. But if you lose your job, we can math our way into success. So we were just having a conversation yesterday where he has a business. He was like, I need to have a conversation about, what I'm doing, because he builds beautiful walls. Like, he built a wall in my basement and a studio wall. It's just incredible. Because he's in the business, he does super creative walls. I'm not in the business, so all I see is math. I'm like, yo, you doing 100 different custom walls. Why don't you just do 4 of them? There's millions of people here. It's faster. We don't got to sit, because he went in my crib, and we were talking about it, and I was like, ooh, what about this type of wall? He's like, yeah, I got an idea. We can do this, and that, and this, and we can create it. He never did it before at that time, but he wanted to try it and killed it, right? However, the problem was, because this is his first time doing that type, one, it took longer to design. Two, it took longer for us to come up with it. Three, he has to teach his staff how to do this particular wall, and they're trying stuff, and I come downstairs, he sees his man, they're like, yeah, maybe we can do it like this. And Elijah's like, nah, let's do it like this. Now the wall came out beautiful, but from a business perspective, that takes too long.
Yeah.
It's math. So if you're an entrepreneur and you lose your job, you need to calculate, how much is it going to take me to live? What product or service can I sell that I'm comfortable selling, that I feel like I'm passionate about anyway, and I know some other people are going to like it? How many of those things do I have to sell to make sure I keep this roof over my head? Everything's math. So thank you. I literally live by that. So.
I love that. And I'll say that just as a sidebar, there's a book called The War of Art.
Yes.
It's by Stephen Pressfield. And essentially, that's exactly what they speak of. They speak of literally the difference in art, right? Something you love, something you're passionate about versus the tactical, mathematical approach to a business and then the scalability of a business, right? And there's a big difference. In the beginning, you waste time in art. And you're supposed to. You're supposed to develop enough art to understand how it works. But from that, you're truncating down to a perfect system that you can then scale. And so it's necessary to do it in some cases, right? To your point, to find that perfect one. Because there's another book called The Paradox of Choice, where you have these large amounts of choice, and the more choices you have, the less clients you're gonna close, right? You keep shrinking it down, and you get down to that 4 choices, as David said, it becomes a lot easier for people to pick from that menu and a lot more efficient. So I digress. The question is back to you, David. Is that your food?
Can we eat this during the interview? Yeah, we're starving.
We're a little different, right?
Absolutely can.
Okay.
Well, no,
Okay, go ahead.
right.
Proceed.
Do you want to do like a break?
So-
Can I just brag?
I'm gonna piggyback off that
So
last.
be comfortable.
Yeah, relax. It's okay. I'll let you take a bite, and then I'll ask the
And I
question.
forgot I wasn't eating bread. I almost started slipping. All right, go ahead. I'm listening.
All right. So it's kind of a piggyback off the last question. So it's, again, going back, we identified that some of the people at risk, as you say, are definitely people, honestly, there's a lot of skilled workers at risk, right? They're in slums.
Yeah.
So the question becomes now, moving to you, David, about personal brand. And how does someone who maybe has been working in corporate America for many years now suddenly get thrown into, this pot where they're uncertain whether they're going to get another job, or Donni pushes them into entrepreneurship? But the question becomes, what would you tell people in developing a personal brand who's been working in a professional field for a long period of time?
I think we're always developing a personal brand, whether it's professional, whether it's leisure. We're always developing a personal brand. So that's an idea that they just have stuck in their head that, oh my gosh, I work a job, but I'm about to do this new thing. How do I rebrand myself? You don't. You just start selling that thing. And eventually, people are going to look at you as the thing, as the person that's selling that thing. And you probably don't have that many people who either know or even care about what you've done for the last 15 years. So when you pop out and do something, they're like, oh, that's what you're doing now. And then eventually you'll meet a whole bunch of other people. First off, the people that know you aren't going to be the people that make you rich, period.
Yes.
So we get out of the mindset of, oh, I got to rebrand for the people who know me. Like if many people don't know you here, right?
Well, I don't know.
You might be famous, I don't know. But whatever he tells us that he does, that's your first introduction. And this is, you're in a new environment, you decide to go to a new environment and meet some people who don't know you. But in your head, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been in corporate for a while and I gotta rebrand myself. No, you just tell these people that you're doing this new thing. And they don't know how long you've been doing it until you tell them. They don't know how good you are. That's why I will get entrepreneurs to say, hey, like at a conference, they'll get the mic and say, okay, well, I just started this branding business, and I'm trying to figure out how to. We don't even know that you just started. Just ask your question. Because there's somebody that's listening and saying, "Oh, I need that person." So it doesn't really matter what you've done over the last 15 years. You could be a new person today.
Pick that back up.
First off, the slider
It's outstanding.
fire.
For sure. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
So let's create a scenario, right? Because again, we're trying to give some real value. And either one of you, whatever. Yeah, Donnie's kind of on the flip side. You gotta stay with it there. But you're giving someone a step-by-step. Hey, I'm this corporate professional, 15 years. Like you said, I built a skill stack of these particular skills that I have. I now want to enter and sell my skill, right? What are the first steps that you would suggest that they take?
Good. Find a target audience of people that can use your skill set. I mean, if you already know what you're going to provide, you're saying this person already has a skill set of, let's just say, accounting, and they know what they want to go into accounting, right? Well, you find an audience of people who need your service. Not everyone needs your service. You might be a corporate accountant, or you might just, okay, you've been doing accounting for a while, but you want to go into the niche of household accounting, right? It's not about business. It's like, our family is in debt. We're trying to get out of debt. We want to start managing our bills. Maybe that's the audience. So we find an audience of people after you've decided what you're going to sell your product or service. And what's most important next is finding the pain point for that audience. So, okay, I need to understand my personal finances, but what is the pain point? Someone that comes to you with a problem, they're typically not telling you the whole story. They're telling you what I need. Oh, we want to budget a little more. So if y'all ever watch The Hot Seat, they'll start in a way, but eventually, I know this is an onion. We got to start peeling it back, because eventually, you're going to tell me the truth. And we're going to find the pain point and why it hurts. So if you find an audience of people who need what you have, or need your service, you really got to identify the pain point and exploit that pain point. And in your messaging, you talk about not how you offer a service, but how you alleviate this pain point. So then you just got to be not afraid to put a price on it and ask people for the money. That's essentially entrepreneurship.
Sure. That's a great answer.
You get the website. No, seriously. In the beginning, when you're transitioning, when I got started, when I was transitioning out of corporate into entrepreneurship, I didn't know anything about a target audience. I didn't know anything about market research. I didn't know anything about proving a pricing concept. I just got started. Meaning, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to offer this particular service. I had an idea of the kind of person that would need it, but I didn't understand all of this terminology, right? And if I were trying to figure that out, maybe I wouldn't have started. And so what I want you to understand is what do you want to do? Sometimes we just have to bump our heads a little bit, because when we're talking about entrepreneur or corporate professionals who are transitioning into entrepreneurship, we're talking about people who are used to being told what their job is, told why their job is important, told who our customer is, told what you have to do every single day. There's a script for everything that you say. There's a process for everything that you do. When you go into entrepreneurship, none of that exists. And sometimes you just have to bump your head. David and I are so good at what we do because we bumped our heads. We said we want to work in this lane. When David decided to start the podcast, we knew that it was for entrepreneurs, but we didn't necessarily know what type of entrepreneurs and exactly what content would resonate the most. Is turn on the camera. Like, I remember when we first started, Dave would run over to the machine. What's it called? What's the little board? The board. The little board. Dave would run over to that little board. He'd press record, run back. We wait a couple of seconds, and then we get started, right? That was before a team. That was before market research. That was before pricing. That was before a concept. That was before a target audience. We literally just got started. And if I can urge you guys, whoever is watching this, of anything, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Overthinking will keep you stuck. Just start. and learn as you go. Literally today, even though, like David mentioned earlier, we've been able to generate multiple 7 figures at this point, we're still entrepreneurs who are just figuring it out. David and I get together all the time. We're winging it. We're literally winging it. We just believe in ourselves at a level that most people don't. We just see a big picture in a way that most people don't. And we're just willing to take risks in a way that most people are not willing to take risks. We understand that not every single decision will be a winning decision. We understand that we don't have all of the answers. We understand that we don't necessarily see how the puzzle pieces fit together. But what we do believe in is ourselves. We believe in our belief. We believe in our skill sets. We believe in our desire, and we believe honestly in the promise that God has placed over our lives. And we literally just wake up every single day. I've got a girlfriend who operates a clothing brand. We're wearing it. Her company has generated more than $300 million in sales. $300 million in sales. And she will tell you today that every single day we are just waking up and figuring it out. And so it's really audacious. I tell people all the time, you got to have a lot of audacity to think that you are going to just have it all figured out before you start. This is a learning process. We got to humble ourselves and say, this is something that we hadn't done before. I'm entering new territory right now, and I have to take the time to actually figure it out. The same time that I took to figure out this job over the years, the same time that I took to become a 15-year professional in any one particular industry, we've got to be willing to put that same 15 years behind our own thing. But most people are only focused on guarantees. They want the guarantee that this decision is going to pan out this way. They want the guarantee that this investment is going to produce this particular result. They want the guarantee that if I stop and believe in myself that it's going to work. David and I have failed business ventures all of the time. We literally just paid $1 million a couple of years ago for a building that we believed in so big. We literally invested over $1 million. We paid about half of that money in cash, and we've been paying for it over and over and over again every single month. And it did not work out. It didn't work out the way that we thought it would work out. We're not going to be able to manifest this idea, to produce this idea in real life. Does that mean that we quit and we don't keep going? No, that means that we pivot. What do we do now? We've got this building. It's $1 million asset. What do? We sell it. We sell it yesterday, right? We sell it, and then we move on to the next idea. David is already looking at the next property. I'm like, not yet, Dave. I want to, no, Donnie, we got to get the next property. Okay, that failed endeavor doesn't mean that we won't ever commingle our funds again to buy another idea, to buy into another idea. We believe in ourselves. We believe in ourselves because of what we've done. And you need to believe in yourself because of what you've already achieved in corporate. That's no small feat. And also believe in yourself, but borrow the belief of other people who are believing in themselves. Before I knew what success as an entrepreneur was, I had mentors that showed me what success as an entrepreneur was. This man who's sitting in the room, I wanted to be him. I can be him. I see myself in a Jonathan Green. Okay, he's mastering this industry of network marketing. Bet. You're on my radar right now. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I see the end result. So now I'm going to have conversations, and I'm going to ask, what is the process? Mr. Green, what do I have to do every single day to achieve the level of success that you've achieved? Find a mentor, but that requires that you humble yourself. That requires that you show up. That requires that you're open to accountability, and most people just are not. So if you want to change something, if you want to be a change agent, if you want to contribute to generational wealth, if you want to be on this side of the microphone one day, accountability, mentorship, humble yourself, and just getting started without all of the answers. You will not see the big picture until you're already 100 steps in it.
Ooh. I'm not sure if I should ask another question. That's amazing, isn't it? But I'll ask this last question. This is for both of you. What have I not asked you that you would love to answer and give some insight to?
Well, how has entrepreneurship impacted your personal life? It sucks. No. That's a really good question, Dave. What have you not been asked that you should be asked?
It's not much because we have a podcast and we talk about this stuff
Every day.
So it's literally, it's nothing that I've been like dying to share because we have a show and whatever's going on in our life at the time, that's what we're talking about. So you already started talking about it.
Me?
Yeah.
Man.
The building. So
Okay.
there's a building, $1 million. Donnie and I take our own cash of like 400 something thousand, put it on the building. We have this big idea. There's going to be like this content creation hub. And then the one is on Cleveland Avenue. I don't know if you've been to Cleveland Avenue. Any part of Cleveland Avenue.
It's
But
not
this
just
is-
Cleveland Avenue.
Nah, this.
It's next to the motel.
Oh,
Right up the highway.
Oh, yeah. Yo, okay. Y'all know, who's been in Atlanta for a while?
They have hourly rates at this motel.
Oh, wow.
If
Y'all-
that's any indication.
Next to the apartment building that
Yes.
So, I don't know. Y'all know the Buren bookstore
Yeah.
or Cleveland?
Yeah.
So we bought that. 15,000 square feet. And we're like, oh, it has enough space to do everything we need. But the homeless kept living there. Even when we politely asked them to leave, they come back. And then we lock all the doors and they come back. And then we paint the building and they spray paint.
Over our building.
Right on, right? We couldn't. We realized this is not the place for the professional business that we're looking like, especially all the equipment we're gonna have in there, because they somehow get in.
They get in.
Every time.
Through the roof.
We've relocked this joint 3-4 times. We gotta keep bringing people out. They keep getting in.
Yeah.
And we realize, whoa, even if we
Way
started the
overhead.
construction, we just don't have the experience to manage this type of project. So we're paying $3,200 every single month for the last 2 years. We're clearing out the trees and all that kind of stuff. We're putting more money into it, and we realize this vision that we had is not going to happen in this building.
No.
Not on Cleveland Avenue.
Not on Cleveland Avenue.
It's going to happen, just not on Cleveland.
Not that building.
Not that building. Until it gentrifies. But then
Yo.
at first we was like, yo, we was like, yo, we were gonna wait because this is the message. The hood needs us. So we're gonna plant our flag right here, and we're gonna build a business. We're gonna have an after school program.
Because we ain't ever scared.
And then we got scared a little bit. Cause I'm like, how y'all keep getting in here?
Yo, every time we pulled up to the building, Dave's like, yo, you got your gun on you?
Oh,
Yes,
my God.
I got it. It's right here.
Oh.
We definitely got scared. Y'all, we're not talking about just the homeless breaking into the building. They were starting bonfires on the inside of the building.
Yeah.
They were cooking food. I mean, it wasn't just the homeless. It was the drug dealers. It was the people who was dropping off like 500 blown tires on the property. And I didn't even know that there was a special process to dispose of tires.
Yeah, I can't lie to you. It's a shell of a building. There's no electricity, nothing in there. How did they install a ceiling fan?
They installed a ceiling fan.
I can't lie to you.
Oh my God.
They hung it from the ceiling, a ceiling fan. I'm like, how do you power this joint? And then we see like this little battery. I'm like, oh, it's over.
Yes.
So we are going through all of these emotions. We're thinking about the money that we lost and continue to put into it. So we decide, man, we already talked about this vision on our podcast. We had an investor meeting. We're telling the investors what we're going to do in this building. And some of them like, yeah, we'll give you some money. We didn't take the money because we realized we are just not the two to pull this off.
We need something a little further along.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm thinking about it. And like, just from my perspective, I'm like, yo, I think we need to sell it, man. We got to give up on this dream. And I'll never tell an entrepreneur to give up on their dream. And I'm like, we're going to give up on it. And I told Donnie, and Donnie's like, yo, I was thinking the same thing. Well, let's sell it. Moral of the story. So we have it under contract now. We actually closed this month.
Yes.
Bought it for $1 million. We're selling it for 1.4. So going through all of that, we're still going to be up 400,000.
Nice.
But if we were so afraid, come on, thank you.
Yes.
Once you start taking shots, you get less and less afraid to miss. Some people just have the ball, they're like, oh my gosh, what if I miss? I haven't shot a basketball in a long time and I just don't want to put the shots up. We put up so many shots that we understand how to navigate through what would seem like a loss.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to go into another building as far away from Cleveland Avenue. But it's a part of the game. It's a part of the game. If y'all don't do nothing else, I don't know how big you see it in your head, but you can't get your feet to walk in that direction. Just know you're not going to die. Go after it.
If we stayed on Cleveland Avenue, we might have. we might have died over there. I mean, we couldn't walk the property without stepping over like needles and things like that.
Yeah.
But the important part is
Kids' drawings on the wall. Like I'm talking about, you know how you put a kid draws like mommy and daddy and the stick figure?
on the inside.
On the inside.
In
on
the dark.
Like, how y'all?
Yeah, for sure. And here's what's really important to take from this. David and I, we introduced this vision to the world. We told everybody. We had content. The day of the closing, we're signing the paperwork. This was 2022?
Yeah,
2023.
2023.
2023.
It'll be 2 years coming up.
In May, so 2023. We have content creators taking video of us. We do our talk, because it's for the culture. I'm emotionally connected to it because this bookstore is the Christian bookstore that my mom brought me to as a kid. And the graduation Bible that she gifted me came from this bookstore. So when David found the property, he's like, come see it. And I walked in and I said, this must be alignment. This must be we are aligned. I brought my mom there. She prayed over the building. I got it on content. It's all over the internet. We've done 20 podcasts talking about what we're going to do because we're doing it for the culture. The culture failed us in a big, big way. But we are still moving forward. We're having to sell this building. We're not giving up on the dream. And before the ink is even dry, okay, in full transparency, David's looking. I need a minute to catch up. We're already looking at property because it just didn't work here. It just didn't work at this time. It just didn't work under these conditions. But we learned from that experience, okay, Cleveland Avenue is actually a great place to purchase property if you have the capacity, if you have experience, if you have the budget to keep paying $2,000 in fines for this and $2,000 in fines for that and $13,000 unexpected dollars that come from this other. If you have the capacity for that person, for the person who we're selling this building to, they can't wait to get into this building.
And we can't wait for them.
And we can't wait to give them the keys. We don't even have keys. Because they broke the lock on the door. We have a bike chain around the front door. No, see, we have a bike chain and a brick.
Oh, wow.
That is the truth.
Here's what's interesting. Like we talk about it all the time. Like we can't wait to talk about the L.
Yeah, we're excited.
Because we understand it's a part of the game. Because even if we weren't, we settled on the fact, we just want to get our money out of it. Whatever we lost, we cool. But we are like, let's just. I'm excited about it. So some of us are so full of ourselves, and we really think that the world thinks we're perfect. But it's that authenticity that really builds a strong brand. So I encourage you all to start talking about the journey more. If you're afraid, tell on your social you're afraid. It's cool. You find people that say, yo, I needed that. I needed that from you. Because now I can be transparent. And if you're transparent, you can move forward. But some of us are hiding the inefficiencies and some of the things that we feel like we're not good at. We're trying to hide them from the world. That thing is heavy. But if you are transparent, you feel free. You feel freer to move. You feel freer to make mistakes. You make mistakes all the time. And we're not even telling y'all the losses where there wasn't a win at the end of that. Some of it, we just lost.
We just lost.
You just lost.
You just lost.
It's not a happy story.
And you still got to make payroll. You lose. Literally, one day woke up and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The same day I found this out, payroll was due. I still have to pay people, but here's also, like, David and I have both built our brand, and I think the reason that so many people relate to us, Brett, is because we're not just showing a perfect picture. People are actually more attracted to the fact that you've gone through a failure. You will connect with people and draw them in because now they can see that, hey, Freddie, now they can see themselves, you're relatable. If all we showed were the wins, if all I had to talk about was how successful I am and how much money I make, none of you would be in this room. That's not relatable. People need to know that I've gone through a foreclosure. People need to know that I've gone through a repossession. People need to know that I've gone through bankruptcy. People need to know that I was a single mom. People need to know that I struggled in relationships because of my dedication to X, Y, and Z. People need to know that part. They need to know that part because what's going to lock them in is how I rebound from every single last one of those things. We're not going to privately just sell this property and move on. We're going to tell the whole world we fumbled big time. Now we made about $500,000. You know what I mean? Thank you to the market, right? Big up to gentrification. We failed big, but even if we didn't make money from it, we still can't wait to share. Dave does this event called the Podcast Summit. This event takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce. He was in the whole year one, in the whole year two, broke even, barely.
Well, last year, no, first year I lost
$250,000. And most people would stop there. Hard stop. $250,000 in the hole. $250,000 in the hole. It's a hard stop. Wrap this up. We're not even finishing the rest of the day. Y'all got everything you need. Like, but here's the thing.
Close the doors. Close the doors.
Here's the thing. David knew that he lost $250,000 before we welcomed the first person in the room. The loss was taken on the front end. And we still got to show up and perform. You still have to show up and impact people. You still have to show up and do the job. So if you're wondering what the difference is between you and this, it's that.
Dang, that was good. Clip that.
Send me that. Send me that.
So we're going to break for Q&A if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, we're going to
Hey.
get into this food.
This meal is fire. Let's just,
Yeah.
I gotta be a part of this. Yeah, because I gotta be a part of this. Because this is so good. Mistora, is it pronounced
Mistora,
Mistora?
The owner, Jacob, is not here, but he welcomed us in, and we told him that you guys were going to be here, so we definitely want to let him know that you enjoyed
That's
it.
good. Absolutely. Yeah, I want to shout them out. That's fun. Okay. Thank y'all for coming. And allowing us to rant.
So before we go real quick, does anyone have any questions? Any questions whatsoever? Shouldn't be many questions, but any.
So we're not going to break for questions.
No, you
No,
just
go ahead.
Good question.
I guess my
I
question
need
is,
a waitress.
Okay, we need a waitress over here.
my question is, what keeps you up at night?
That building for a long time.
So, if I'm being honest, I sleep peacefully at night. I sleep peacefully at night because I am giving it everything that I have, right? What used to keep me up at night was fears associated to the work that I wasn't doing. I wasn't doing the things that showed me the light at the end of the tunnel and that kept me up at the end of the night or every single night. Some of the things, the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I have made the commitment and the decision to provide for my family in a really big way, right? And I have to stay committed to that particular goal. I don't stay up at night worried about anything about me. I stay up at night figuring out how I can be more impactful. And that really is, like, the things that's keeping me up right now, and David has heard me talk about this. If you guys watch the Social Proof podcast, you've heard me talk about this recently. If anything were to keep me up at night, or what's on my mind is a better question all the time, is how bigger God wants me to go. I feel like I've been operating in this space for so many years that I'm undermining my own calling, and I'm undermining my own potential. And right now, the thing that keeps me up is not being clear on what the next step is while still having to take steps. Does that make sense? But I still have to take steps. And if I look at historically what has happened in my life, I never had clarity beforehand. Clarity came over time. And so right now, me trying to control the outcome is really what my biggest character flaw is professionally. I'm trying to control the outcome. I need to know where everything is going. It's me letting go and saying, God, I trust you. You've already taken me through this journey year after year after year. Just keep moving.
So I'm gonna say my kids. They just sleep wild. And they sleep my bed.
It's okay.
I'm curious, entrepreneurship takes so many different forms. And, in social, we hear so much about starting a business. What is y'all's perspective on like the entrepreneurship to acquisition, so buying business?
So I haven't bought a business where I run it, but I've invested into businesses. And I think it's a good thing when you figure it out. It's most of the times you're gonna lose. You have to know that going into it. Investment firms know they're gonna invest in 10 businesses. 9 of them they're gonna lose their money, but it's that one. It's that one that's gonna pop. So I've invested in a couple businesses, and I haven't gotten my money back. Yeah, but it's a long game. You feel me? I understand what I'm getting myself into. So I think buying businesses is a really, really good idea, a really good concept. It's just when you're buying, especially if you're gonna partner, you really gotta find the right partner, because you might come in and save the business with some cash, and they're like, yo, that's all I needed, but that's not all they need. They need emotional support, and they want to do it the way they've been doing it that caused them to need you in the first place. I'm like, nah, you just don't understand, bro. That's why I just put the money into it, because you needed me. So I think it's a good idea. And for me, I have some really, really good partners, and I'm hopeful for it because I just believe in entrepreneurs. So.
You have any thoughts on that?
Who, me?
Are you saying you selling a business, or
I'm not selling today.
what you got
I run a company called Ticker. We help publicly traded companies connect to their retail
now?
shareholders.
What?
It's called Ticker with 2 I's. We help publicly traded companies connect with their retail shareholders through purchase.
What does that mean?
You own Nike stock, you should get 20% off of Nike shoes.
Dang, that's all.
I like where you're going with that.
Is it making money right now?
We burn about $100,000 a month. Yeah.
Wait,
But we worth a lot.
because we're interested in business partnerships.
No, he said they're burning $100,000.
You're burning, not earning. Oh, I thought you were earning.
Did you see that?
Received,
But yeah. Did you raise money?
$7 million.
Raise $7 million. That's lit, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this.
Well, you're telling half the story.
I know. I
Tell
was chief of staff to my co-founder, who was independently wealthy and could afford to put back into the business. So I'm the beneficiary of being in the right place at the right time with the right story.
Y'all need help though?
Oh, but yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. This is strategic.
Yeah. So the only thing, and you don't need our money. So we're
No,
good.
it's not the money. No.
Yeah.
Pull him to the side.
For sure.
Pull him to the side.
Absolutely. Okay.
Anyone else?
Right here.
I don't have a question. I was part of the accelerator program, and you guys said something on one of our calls that really opened my eyes. Since we're talking about,
Hey, girl.
hey, it's not right.
We don't know.
Look,
Where's the camera?
I know, I didn't bring it. So. But you said something, because we're talking about the shift in the economy and what we can do as new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that get into business. You said we need to shift and plug the holes that are in our ship. Because at the time, I had so much stuff that I didn't even know that money was going out, because you have subscriptions that are going on. So you made us stop and take a look at all of the money that we were spending on stuff that we didn't even need anymore. And I just think that with the shift, that's something that people don't think of right away. That, wait, hold on, let me see what's going on. Especially when you have these yearly subscriptions that are coming out, and the next thing you know, you done paid something for $250, and you're not even using it. So I thought that was a great thing that you guys shared with us during this shift.
Absolutely. Got another hand? Freddie, hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? I got a question for Dave and Donnie. If you want to answer this individually or collectively, and that is, how does it feel?
You're not good on time.
How does it feel?
Yeah, well, we gotta get, because I know she has to leave soon.
Okay. How does it feel to be the you that you are now, as opposed to the you in the past, who all you had was the belief that you could be the you that you are?
I felt good back then too.
For sure.
No, I'm so serious.
Yeah.
Even when I was financially at my lowest, I still felt good about who I was. I've never allowed my status of success or the perceived status of success to define me, and I've never allowed money to define me, because I have seen the highs and I have seen the lows. I have experienced the highs and I've experienced the lows, and I understand that neither of those things are responsible for my value, right? They are responsible for my my testimony, right? My proof of concept, so to speak. But Donni Wiggins, I felt good about myself then. And I always live in anticipation of my moment. I am still waiting for my moment. I haven't reached my moment yet. I am still waiting for my moment, and I feel good being me at this level. I felt good being me 10 years ago, and I feel great about being who I am 10 years prior, because you'll learn that money and success don't really fulfill you on the inside, right? It's the responsibility that we have to honor the calling that God has placed on our lives. That's one thing. But he's called us to do so many different things, right? And sometimes you're building businesses that aren't founded on purpose. So it's easy to feel a lack of fulfillment in that space. I have worked so hard on character development, and I've worked so hard at understanding what actual joy and happiness is, that you can't take that away from me. You can't take that piece of, you can take the money away from me, you can take the business away from me, you can take the accolades away from me, you can take this plaque away from me, but you can't take the core of who I am away from me. And I focus on developing that part of me every single day. Who is the core of who I am? And is it aligned with what I'm doing in business? Is it aligned with the people that I choose to serve? Is it aligned with the decisions that I'm making? I have to focus on the core of me. And what I've learned is focusing on the core of me produces all the things that you see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same thing.
Give it up for Donni and Dave.
Yeah, same thing. Really the same thing. But it's not, you might see, people look at your journey and say, yo, I remember when you was here, and it's not like that for me, though. You know what I mean? It's like asking a senior in high school, how you feel being a senior, man, from when you was in like 5th grade? Well, I feel about the same, because I didn't go from 5th to 12th, I went from 5th to 6th.
Right.
And from 6th to 7th, 7th to 8th, there's no difference between 8th and 9th, 9th and 10th, like it wasn't like we skipped any steps. It was every single year consistently knowing that we're gonna get there, and we're still taking the same steps knowing that we're gonna get there. From your perspective, you're like, oh, you're there. No, we're not. Not even close. It just seems like I'm going from 9th grade to 10th grade. Eventually, I'm gonna be there one day. But it's not like that. And I think life is about enjoying the journey. And if you're so frustrated you can't find happiness until you get there, you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
Because when you get there, it's not gonna feel like you think it's gonna feel. Remember, I don't know anybody's, if you ever made $100,000 before you made $100,000, what you thought it was gonna feel like? Remember, one day I make 6 figures. Then you make the 6 figures. You're like, where the money?
You didn't even realize you made it. You're still so broke that you didn't even realize you made
Where's
it.
the money? Where'd it go?
Where is
Like,
the money?
he's like, yo, man, if I could just make an extra 100,000, and you go from 100 to 200,000, and you're like, bro, I don't.
Is it ever an extra $100,000? If I could just make an extra 100, but the work that you have to do is so full time that it's never really an extra, and you don't see it because you don't get to go from. I mean, there are entrepreneurs who go from. We got friends who have made $9 million in a day, literally in a day, right? You notice that. I've been able to make multiple 6 figures in a day. I noticed that, right? But in the journey, in the long scheme of things, to me, everything is just finally coming together. It's just finally coming together. And like Dave said, it's just like high school. It's like aging every single birthday. Now that you're 40, how do you feel? The same as I did at 39. And quite frankly, I feel the same as I did at 35. Like, nothing feels any different. You wake up one day and you're middle aged with back pain. It wasn't a progression. You just wake up one day like, oh my God, now I've got this back pain that won't go away. Now my knees don't work. I don't remember when I stopped twerking. But I have. Or maybe I didn't really, but it does feel different right now. You know, but I can't pinpoint when it happened. I'ma still do it. But the recovery isn't the same. Now, before I just did it and I went home and I was excited to do it again the next day. I'm down for 3 to 4 days. And I don't know, Brett, when that happened. You know what I mean? So I can't honestly say, I don't know the difference in how I feel now. And I'm grateful every single day. But I was grateful with nothing, too.
You should have got shorter at the beginning.
Right.
We all knew that's what you wanted to do.
Thank you.
That's really what happened.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna wrap it up here. This was amazing. Thank you two so much. Thank you to the restaurant and story. Thank you especially to Lenox and Parker, again, Crystal and Victor. We love the work that you're doing. Hopefully we get to continue doing many of these, you know, but you guys have been great, just what I expected you all to be, minus the short ribs. But yeah, no, we appreciate you so much. I'm gonna let you enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy. And thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for coming out.